Welcome to Pride Partners International's monthly webinar. Thank you for joining us today. Pride Partners International is a global partnership of firms and specialists in transfer pricing and financial valuation. The association is the meeting ground for professionals capable of facing a challenging business environment, helping them connect to boost their continuous professional development and enhance their technical and human skills and abilities. This partnership is made up of experts recognized by their trajectory and prestige in the transfer pricing and financial valuation fields. Experts that constantly participate in the exchange of technical information, knowledge development, and implementation of global best practices. When a firm joins the PPI partnership, it increases its scope immediately and exponentially. Business becomes much simpler by accessing training, technology, resource optimization, and new business opportunities, among other benefits. We invite you to learn more about Pride Partners International. Contact our agents and be part of the global elite of transfer pricing and financial valuation consulting. Our transmission will begin shortly. We invite you to participate actively by sending all your questions or comments through the live chat. Again, thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy the event.
Hello, let me introduce myself. I'm Gaston Fiorentino, partner of IGTP Expert, a firm specialized in transfer pricing that is located in Colombia. I want to give my thanks to Pride Partner International for your invitation to this webinar, and thanks for your time in taking this webinar also. Today's webinars will be split in 3 parts. I will first introduce an executive summary of the Colombian TP rules. Then I will talk about fiscal year 2020 pandemic impact in TP matters. And finally, I will explain how the resale price method could be applied given COVID-19. Oh, so sorry, COVID-19. Well, let's start with an executive summary of the Colombian's TP rules. I will explain the main important things to take into account. TP transaction to be analyzed in Colombia. There are 4 types of transactions that could be analyzed in Colombia. Type 1 and 2 are the typically and correspond to transactions between a national custom territory or a free trade zone taxpayer that have transactions with a related party abroad. On the other hand, the type 3 is a TP transaction done locally because it's between a national customer taxpayer and a taxpayer located in a free trade zone in Colombia. At last, type 4 are transactions done with a tax haven jurisdiction. In all of these type of transactions, the taxpayer with the letter A, is the one that have the TP formal obligation. Please take a look that in type 3, the national custom taxpayer, remember that type 3 is between related party located locally in Colombia, the national custom territory taxpayer is the one that have the formal obligation. Okay, but which are the formal TP duties that the Colombian taxpayer should comply? For answering that question, in this slide deck, it's explained the TP threshold that must be considered or that should be considered. First, did the company carry out transactions with related parties? If the answer is no, the taxpayer have to send a notification via an email of whom submit the CBC report and in which country. That is because the taxpayer is part of a multinational group. Again, did the taxpayer carry out transactions with related party? In this case, if the answer is yes, it's needed to analyze the next threshold. Okay, well, total asset of fiscal year 2020 were higher or equal to 900,000 US dollar, or important, or gross incomes of fiscal year 2020 were higher or equal to 580,000 US dollar. With tax haven jurisdictions, this threshold does not apply. If the answer is no, in that case, the notification via email should be sent. But if the answer is yes, next threshold should be analyzed. Well, being yes the answer, by type of transaction, if they are higher or equal to 430,000, in the case of transactions with a tax haven, is needed to analyze the sum of said transaction if they are higher or equal to 96,000. If the answer is no, the only formal obligation is to submit the informative TP return. On the other hand, if the answer is yes to this last threshold, the taxpayer has the full formal duty obligation. That means they had to submit the informative TP return, the local file, the master file, and the CBC report if it is correspond. The Colombian fiscal year 2020 due date are: for the submission of the TP informative return, the local file and the notification CBC report email, that will be during September 2021. For the submission of the master file and, if correspond, the CBC report, that will be during December 2021. In both cases, you have to take into account the last tax ID of the tax contributor. Please take into account also that the master file could be submitted in English. Fiscal year 2020 pandemic impact in transfer pricing matters. For understanding what happened in 2020, it's needed to understand what had happened in Colombia during fiscal year 2019. During fiscal year 2019, income transfer pricing transactions has a 44% of participation over the total amount of transfer pricing transactions. And expenses transactions has a 56% of participation. Regarding expenses transaction, most of them correspond to purchase of inventory for its distributions. Thus, for analyzing a distribution functional company, generally the transactional net margin method, or TNMM or CPM, is selected with the Colombian company as the tested party and the return on sale as the profit level indicator. But what could have happened to said distribution companies during fiscal year 2020? Perhaps some of them could have had a negative pandemic impact in their financial statement. Thus, there are things to look after given COVID-19. Explain and quantify clearly in the local file and or in the master file what had happened. It's important to look for evidence and facts. For example, a budget versus a real financial information of 2020 could be done. In next slide deck, I will give a theoretical explanation of the possible or possibility application of the resale price method given the COVID-19. The COVID-19. When the resale price method could be applied? In a start-up situation of the company, in a reorganization stage of the company that is different from a restructuring, or when it's passing through an economic crisis or a pandemic situation. Therefore, please let me introduce this theoretical example and think of a glass cup distribution company with the following unit price structure. 100 is the public unit price sales, 70 is the unit cost, and the estimated gross margin is of 30%, with this interquartile range of comparables company that distribute same products. Quiz: how many glass cups should be sold to absorb the operating expenses of the company? Example of the use of the resale price method with an adjusted TNMM as a complementary analysis given the COVID-19. Pandemic situation. Sales reductions compared to budget figures. It's very important to understand this. Drop in sales plus discount or promotion in sales price with the intention of getting more or getting sales is equal to gross margin decrease. At a gross margin analysis, having a decrease of it in the third quarter from 26 to 10, real information, the gross margin average 23.3 is within the interquartile range 18 up to 34. But doing an operating analysis, an operational analysis, the ROS, return on sale, of the company in the third quarter fall to less 54%. So by a TNMM analysis, the conclusion could be that the company, in its purchase of inventory, did not comply with the arm's length principle. But as it showed, in the third quarter, because of COVID-19, the company is in an operating losses situation. My proposal in this case is to adjust three-quarter financial information for applying a complementary, it's very important, a complementary analysis by using the TNMM. And doing this, the adjusted ROS will be within the interquartile range, because 2.3 is within 2.1 and 4.2. In relation with what was explained, please remember that the break-even point is where the revenue crosses the total cost. Thus, if given COVID-19, the company could not sell the number of unit budget, it did not have a TP issue. What really has is the pandemic explained situation. So, as it's seen in this chart, the problem is that the company did not sell the amount of unit that it needed to sell because of the pandemic situation. Really, I understand. Ceteris paribus, many things. Well, thank you for this. Thank you for this. And see you in next webinar.